Stranded on a death world, the alien crew members huddled together beneath the dense canopy of the Earth's forest, their breaths visible in the chilly twilight. Zorax, a Xanthian with shimmering scales that had dulled to a sickly green, gazed with fear at the humans who had somehow remained composed despite the chaos surrounding them. Their ship had malfunctioned and crash-landed on this uncharted, hostile planet known as Earth. Now, as the local star dipped below the horizon, an eerie darkness enveloped their surroundings. "We're doomed," Zorax whispered, his voice trembling as the leaves rustled in the cool breeze. His large, bulbous eyes darted around nervously. The thought of being stranded on a planet with unknown creatures was unsettling. Across from him, Jackson, the leader of their small group of humans, was calmly gathering sticks. His expression was serious yet unflinching, as if the situation was no more troubling than a routine camping trip. His hands moved efficiently, breaking branches with practiced ease and arranging them into a neat pile. "Zorax, stop talking like that," Jackson said, his voice steady. "We'll be fine. We just need to get organized." Organized, Zorax thought, glancing around at the dense forest that seemed to close in on them. The Xanthian species was known for its cautious nature, and the situation felt far beyond their comfort zone. "There are predators out there," Zorax said, his voice rising in alarm. "We don't even know what kind of creatures this part of your planet harbors. Probably some big cats or bears." Jackson, meanwhile, continued his task with an air of calm determination. "Don't worry about it. I've done this 100 times. It's just like a camping trip." "A camping trip?" Zorax repeated incredulously. "Is that some sort of human death ritual?" Jackson chuckled, a sound that seemed almost out of place in the darkening forest. "No, it's something we do for fun. We go out into the wild, set up camp, and live off the land for a bit. It's good for building character." Zorax stared at him, his eyes wide with shock. "You do this for fun?" Jackson shrugged. "Yeah, it's kind of like a challenge. Makes you appreciate the comforts of home more. But out here, it's not just for fun. We need to do this to survive." The notion that humans voluntarily subjected themselves to death world conditions for enjoyment was almost too much for Zorax to comprehend. Humans voluntarily subject themselves to death world conditions for fun, he muttered under his breath. "Every step we take, every breath we draw, it's like tempting fate." "That's the spirit," Jackson said with a grin, as he started a fire by rubbing two sticks together. "You'll see, humans are good at this. It's in our nature." As the sticks began to smoke and eventually catch fire, Jackson blew gently on them until flames sprang to life. The fire's warm glow cast flickering shadows around the group, and Zorax and his fellow aliens jumped back, startled by the sudden blaze. "See, nothing to it," Jackson said, his voice calm as he fed more wood into the fire. "Now we've got warmth, light, and a way to keep the predators at bay." The aliens, despite their initial fear, huddled closer to the fire, their apprehension momentarily eased by its comforting warmth. Still, they exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to trust this bizarre human method of survival. "We need to build some shelter next," Jackson continued, already scanning the surrounding area for suitable materials. "It's going to get colder as the night goes on." Zorax blinked, his confusion deepening. "You mean you're going to construct a dwelling from the materials here on the spot?" "Of course," Jackson replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the universe. "Got to stay dry and warm. The last thing we need is to get sick out here." Rex, another alien in the group, looked around with wide eyes. "And food. We haven't eaten in hours." Jackson smiled, nodding toward a nearby bush. "We've got some berries over there. Not bad if you're hungry. But we'll need something more substantial tomorrow. We can try fishing or set up some traps. Maybe we'll get lucky and catch something." The mention of traps made Zorax visibly shudder. "This world is truly a death world," he muttered. "Every step we take, every breath we draw, it's like tempting fate." "That's the spirit," Jackson said with a wink, as if he had missed or ignored the alien's discomfort. "But you'll see, humans are good at this. It's in our nature." As the fire crackled and popped, the humans worked diligently, pulling together makeshift shelters from branches, leaves, and vines. The aliens, after some hesitant moments, began to help, though their efforts were clumsy and unsure. Despite their advanced technology, their survival skills in such harsh conditions were far from their forte. Jackson, seeing their struggle, offered guidance with a patient demeanor. "You'll get the hang of it," he said encouragingly. "Just think of it as a team exercise. We're all in this together." Zorax and Rex exchanged another glance, this one filled with mutual resignation. They weren't sure how they had ended up in this situation, stranded on a deaf world with a species that seemed far too comfortable in its harsh environment. But as they watched Jackson and the other humans move with practiced ease, a small part of them began to wonder if there was more to these strange, resilient creatures than they had ever imagined. By the time the makeshift shelters were complete, the moon had risen high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the campsite. The fire crackled warmly, warding off the chill and the fears of the night. Jackson leaned back against a tree, a satisfied smile on his face as he surveyed their work. "Not bad for our first night," he said, closing his eyes as if this were just another camping trip. "Get some rest, guys. We've got a lot to do." And so, under the starlit sky of an alien world, the unlikely team prepared for the trials that lay ahead, united by the strange and enduring spirit of survival. Unraveling the death world. As dawn broke over the alien world, the once dark forest was bathed in a muted golden light. The humans and their alien companions stirred from their makeshift shelters, their breath misting in the crisp morning air. Jackson, the leader of the human group, was already up and tending to the fire, which had burned down to a smoldering ember. The aliens, still uneasy from their first night, watched in silent amazement as Jackson went about his morning routine. Zorax and Rex emerged from their shelters, their eyes squinting against the bright sunlight. The forest, now illuminated, revealed a landscape that was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. Towering trees with thick, gnarled branches formed a dense canopy above, while the underbrush was a tangled mess of vines and shrubs. "Morning," Jackson greeted them with a cheerful tone. "Today we'll start by exploring our surroundings. We need to get a better understanding of this planet if we're going to survive." Rex's large eyes widened with concern. "Exploring? Isn't that dangerous?" Jackson shrugged casually. "It's part of the process. We need to find resources, identify potential threats, and understand the environment. It's all about gathering information." Zorax, still uneasy, shuffled his feet. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" "We'll split into groups," Jackson explained, "scout the area, and collect samples. We'll also need to identify any food sources and water. Stay close to each other and keep an eye out for anything unusual." As the group set out, Jackson led the way, his every step revealing a familiarity with the forest that seemed almost instinctive. Zorax and Rex, trailing behind, marveled at how effortlessly the humans moved through the dense foliage. The aliens' movements were more cautious, their every step carefully measured as they navigated the unfamiliar terrain. Jackson's confidence was contagious, and slowly Zorax and Rex began to adapt to their new environment. They followed Jackson's lead, gathering berries, examining plants, and keeping a wary eye out for any signs of danger. "This plant," Jackson said, pointing to a leafy green shrub, "is edible. We can use it for cooking later. But be careful with the brightly colored ones. Those are often a sign of toxicity." Zorax, still wary, examined the plant closely. "How do you know so much about these plants?" Jackson grinned. "Experience. I've done a lot of wilderness survival training. It's not just about knowing what's safe, it's about learning to read the environment." The group continued their exploration, and Jackson's leadership proved invaluable. They discovered a small stream with clean, flowing water, a critical resource for their survival. Jackson showed them how to test the water for contaminants using basic field techniques, ensuring it was safe to drink. As the day wore on, the group's mood lightened. The initial fear and uncertainty that had marked their first night were beginning to ebb away, replaced by a growing sense of camaraderie and teamwork. Zorax and Rex, that are still nervous, started to appreciate the humans' resilience and resourcefulness. By late afternoon, the group returned to their campsite with a variety of resources: berries, plants, and clean water. The mood was more relaxed as they prepared for their second night. Jackson and his team began to cook a simple meal, using the foraged ingredients to create a dish that was both nutritious and satisfying. As they sat around the fire, sharing their meal, Jackson recounted stories of past survival experiences, regaling his companions with tales of harsh conditions and narrow escapes. The aliens listened with rapt attention, their initial skepticism slowly giving way to respect. Zorax, feeling more at ease, ventured a question. So, how did humans become so adept at surviving in such harsh conditions? Jackson took a thoughtful pause before answering. It's a mix of necessity and ingenuity. Throughout history, humans have faced countless challenges. Each obstacle we overcome teaches us something new, makes us stronger, and helps us adapt. Survival is not just about physical endurance, it's about mental resilience and the ability to learn from our experiences. Rex nodded, a newfound understanding dawning in his eyes. I see. It's not just about the skills you have, it's about how you use them. Jackson smiled. Exactly. And that's something we all share, regardless of our species. We're all here to survive, learn, and grow. As the fire crackled and the stars began to appear in the night sky, the group settled in for the evening. The sense of unity that had begun to form among them was palpable. The humans and aliens, that are still very different, were coming together in a shared experience of survival and discovery. The forest, once a place of fear and uncertainty, was now becoming a backdrop for their growing understanding of one another. The challenges they faced were daunting, but with each passing day, they were learning to navigate the death world with a blend of cautious optimism and resolute determination. In the quiet of the night, as the firelight danced across their faces, Zorax and Rex could not help but feel a sense of awe at the resilience of their human companions. They had come to this planet expecting a struggle, and while the difficulties were far from over, they were discovering that survival on this death world was not just about overcoming physical obstacles, but also about the strength of the spirit and the bonds formed through shared adversity. Facing the unknown. The next day dawned clear and bright, with the sun casting long shadows through the dense forest. Jackson, ever the optimist, was already at work organizing the next phase of their survival plan. The aliens, Zorax and Rex, joined him, their initial hesitation now tempered with a tentative curiosity. The group gathered around Jackson as he outlined the day's objectives. Today, we're going to build a more permanent shelter and explore further afield, he announced. We'll also set up some basic traps for catching food. It's important to be prepared for anything. Zorax, still adjusting to the new reality, glanced nervously at the surrounding forest. What kind of creatures might we encounter out there? Jackson shrugged. Hard to say for sure. This planet's biodiversity is immense, and some of it could be dangerous. That's why we need to stay alert and stick together. It's all part of the adventure. With that, Jackson and his team set off to explore deeper into the forest. The terrain grew increasingly rugged, with steep inclines and rocky outcrops. Despite the challenge, Jackson navigated the landscape with ease, his familiarity with such environments evident in his confident strides. Zorax and Rex followed, their steps more cautious. As they walked, Jackson explained the various plants and animals they encountered, providing valuable insights into their uses and potential dangers. This plant here, Jackson said, pointing to a bright blue flower, is used in traditional medicine back on Earth. It's got properties that help with healing. Zorax examined the flower with interest. You have a vast knowledge of your planet's flora. Jackson nodded. It's not just about knowing things. It's about understanding how to use that knowledge. Adaptability is key. As they continued their exploration, the group came across a small clearing with a shallow pond. Jackson wasted no time in setting up a basic fishing trap, demonstrating how to fashion it from local materials. Zorax and Rex watched, their skepticism giving way to admiration as Jackson expertly constructed the trap. "This will help us catch some of the local fish," Jackson explained. "Fresh food will be crucial for our long-term survival." The day passed with a mix of discovery and hard work. By afternoon, the group had managed to build a more robust shelter using the materials they had gathered. The shelter was constructed with branches and leaves, providing a solid structure that would offer better protection from the elements. Back at the campsite, the group took a moment to rest and regroup. Jackson used the opportunity to teach Zorax and Rex some basic survival techniques, including how to identify animal tracks and set up simple traps. The aliens, initially hesitant, began to grasp the basics with surprising speed. Zorax, his anxiety gradually easing, asked, "How did you learn all of this?" Jackson grinned. "It's a combination of training and experience. Humans have been surviving in various environments for thousands of years. We learn from each situation, adapt, and pass on that knowledge." As the sun began to set, the group prepared for the evening. Jackson cooked a meal using the fish they had caught and the berries they had foraged. The aroma of the food was a welcome comfort, and the aliens joined eagerly, their apprehensions about the food now replaced with a cautious optimism. Over dinner, the conversation turned to the broader implications of their situation. "It's fascinating," Zorax said, breaking the silence. "Your species has such a strong connection to nature, even in the face of danger." Jackson nodded. "It's true. Humans have always had a deep respect for nature, even when we have to overcome it. Survival isn't just about fighting against the environment, it's about understanding and working with it." Rex, his curiosity piqued, asked, "Do you think this experience will change how we view your species?" Jackson looked thoughtful. "I hope so. There's a lot to learn from each other. We're all here facing the same challenges, and that's a powerful way to build understanding and respect." As the fire crackled and the stars emerged in the sky, the group settled in for the night. The forest, once a place of fear and uncertainty, was becoming a backdrop for their growing sense of unity and cooperation. The humans and aliens, despite their differences, were finding common ground in their shared struggle for survival. In the quiet of the night, as the gentle breeze rustled the leaves, Zorax and Rex reflected on their experiences. The death world they had once dreaded was now a place of discovery and growth. The resilience and ingenuity of their human companions were beginning to shine through, and the aliens found themselves reassessing their initial perceptions. As sleep took hold, the group looked forward to the challenges and discoveries that awaited them. Each day on this alien world brought new lessons and opportunities, and together, they were learning to navigate the unknown with a blend of courage, curiosity, and cooperation. The unexpected allies. The following morning, the forest was alive with the sounds of wildlife and the fresh scent of dew. Jackson, Zorax, and Rex began their day with renewed energy. They set out to check the fishing traps and explore further into the forest, eager to learn more about their environment. As they approached the pond where Jackson had set the traps, they were surprised to find several small fish caught. Jackson, satisfied with the catch, began preparing a makeshift fish smoker from nearby materials. Zorax and Rex watched with a mix of fascination and wariness as Jackson demonstrated the smoking process. "We should also start exploring beyond this immediate area," Jackson suggested. "There's likely more to this planet than what we've seen so far." The group ventured further into the forest, discovering a hidden cave entrance obscured by thick foliage. The cave's interior was dark and cool, a stark contrast to the sweltering heat outside. Jackson's flashlight beam illuminated the cave's walls, revealing strange markings and ancient symbols. Zorax, intrigued by the markings, noted, "These symbols might be an indication of previous inhabitants or significant events." Jackson agreed, "It's possible. Understanding the history of this place could help us better navigate our surroundings. As they explored deeper, they stumbled upon a small group of native creatures, resembling a mix of small, intelligent primates. The creatures observed the intruders with cautious curiosity, but made no aggressive moves. Jackson, using a series of hand gestures and friendly noises, attempted to communicate with them. To everyone's surprise, the creatures responded positively, offering fruits and nuts they had gathered. This unexpected gesture of goodwill led to a tentative alliance. Zorax and Rex were amazed by the humans' ability to forge connections with alien species. Back at the camp, the newly befriended creatures helped them with food and provided valuable insights into the forest's resources. The cooperation between the humans and these native beings highlighted the potential for building alliances in this harsh environment. That evening, as the campfire crackled and the night's chills set in, Jackson reflected on the day's events. "We've made some great progress," he said. "Not only have we secured more food and resources, we've also formed an unexpected alliance. It's a reminder that cooperation and understanding can overcome even the most challenging situations." Zorax and Rex, their initial apprehensions replaced by a sense of hope and camaraderie, looked forward to the days ahead. The harshness of the death world was still present, but the emerging alliances and newfound knowledge were turning their struggle into an opportunity for growth and connection. The challenge of the unknown. With their new allies' assistance, Jackson, Zorax, and Rex continued to adapt to their harsh environment. The next challenge arose when a powerful storm swept across the forest, bringing torrential rain and fierce winds. The storm hit unexpectedly, and the trio scrambled to reinforce their shelters. Jackson's previous experience proved invaluable as he directed everyone in securing the structures and protecting their supplies. The native creatures, guided by Jackson's instructions, helped with reinforcing the shelters using leaves, branches, and vines. As the storm raged outside, the group huddled together in the relative safety of their makeshift camp. Zorax marveled at Jackson's calm demeanor and resourcefulness. Despite the storm's intensity, the campfire continued to burn, its warmth providing comfort and a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. During the storm, Jackson and Rex discussed strategies for future survival, including improving their shelters and finding more reliable food sources. Zorax, initially skeptical of the human methods, began to appreciate the value of Jackson's approach to problem-solving and adaptability. When the storm finally abated, the landscape was transformed. The forest was now a mixture of muddy paths and debris, but the group emerged with renewed determination. Jackson took this opportunity to teach Zorax and Rex about surviving extreme weather conditions and dealing with unforeseen challenges. The day ended with a sense of accomplishment. The storm had tested their resilience and teamwork, but also strengthened their bonds. Jackson, Zorax, and Rex understood that their journey was far from over, but they were more confident in their ability to face whatever lay ahead. Their new alliance with the native creatures and their growing adaptability signaled a positive shift in their struggle against the death world's harsh conditions. The group prepared for the challenges to come, ready to face them together with newfound strength and understanding.